Ron from New Record Day here. Got my pretty pink drink that my wife always makes fun of me for getting. I know you guys are not going to make fun of me. Real audiophiles drink pretty pink drinks. All right, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ron. Today we're going to be doing something very different. Obviously with some changes here with Tuesday Tech Talks, I figured maybe now is a good time to jump in here and contribute and to insert my thoughts when it comes to anything technical, when it comes to the stuff that I have in for review. And so this is going to be me taking a stab at that. And the very first speaker that we're going to be discussing today from a technical standpoint is the Buchardt S400. Those speakers are very popular. I think they've won more awards than Madonna at this point. So it seems like a great place to start. Now, disclaimer, I am not an engineer. I do not have a whole lot of experience under my belt of being able to subjectively tell you based on what we are looking at why one thing is better than another. And so I'm not going to be giving you my personal opinions about what we find or what we discover. This is merely going to be a technical breakdown or walkthrough of everything that I can show you about the Buchardt S400s. Please let me know in the comments section down below if you guys want to see more videos like this, if you guys enjoy this kind of content. And more importantly, if you don't, hear me out. Leaving a thumbs down and leaving does nobody any good. So if you don't mind, before leaving a thumbs down, let me know what you didn't like about the video. Let me know ways that I can improve it, because that's how I can learn and grow. So I'd appreciate it. Enough blabbering. Let's get started. And I think that a good place to start is the cabinet. Another disclaimer, don't do any of this stuff with your Buchardt S400s. The reason that I'm doing this is so you don't have to. Yeah, so I was the kid at Christmas holiday that would take apart all of my toys and put them back together again, or sometimes put them back together again. The bottom line is this. Huge disclaimer here. Let me do this. I know what I'm doing. I can put this back together again without messing anything up. Don't blame me if you don't listen to this disclaimer. All right, let's start with the basics. Here's the cabinet. First thing I want to point out is just, you know, the basic stuff. So the cabinet is just under 14.5 inches tall. Front baffle just a smidge more than 7 inches, and the depth is pretty much right on the button, 9.5 inches, somewhere around there. One thing worth noting, this is an interesting feature. Take a look at my monitor. Yeah, you can see it's got a little bit of a slant to it, which is kind of a cool feature about this particular enclosure. In regards to the thickness of the wood, we're just shy of 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to call it 5/8. Another interesting feature with the enclosure that we should discuss is there is no bracing inside of the cabinet. And there are some, let me grab my phone so I can show you guys. For the crossover board, we've got these little metal fasteners where the crossover board just screws right in. So I wanted to show you that. In terms of polyfill, it did come with the sheets that I'm going to show you next. Yeah, so the Buchardt S400 comes with these polyfill sheets is what they look like, and they're just lining the walls. This one is covering the crossover, so you get that. Let me grab the binding post plate and the crossover, and we'll discuss that next. So here we have your speaker binding posts, and the binding posts, pretty simple, 5-way binding posts. These unscrew. You can use bare wire, you can use spades, you can use banana plugs, you name it, and those are ready to rock and roll. Also worth noting is all the wires have these little connectors here, which made it very easy to take the speaker apart, which was kind of handy. There's the binding posts, and now we're going to discuss the crossover. Okay, so here we go. By my count, I am looking at a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 components on the circuit board. And with those components, we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 sandcast resistors. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 inductors. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 poly caps, and we have one microfarad cap. The brand that's being used here for the poly caps I can clearly see is Bennick. Same thing with the microfarad cap up there. It's also Bennick as well. Not sure about the branding on the other components. I don't see any markings or anything like that, but that's that. So yeah, here is the passive radiator that is on the back of the Buchardt S400s. It's got a little bit of a weight to the back of it, and that's how you get your tuning on the passive radiator. So there's that guy. Here is your Woofer Driver for the S400. The material being used is aluminum, and the motor structure is substantial. This is a heavy woofer, so I would expect this guy to produce some decent bass. We'll talk about that when we actually do the review. We're going to keep things objective. The frame is definitely die cast for sure. It's thick. I'm trying to be as objective as I can, but this appears to be a very well-made woofer. So I'll set that guy to the side. And here is perhaps one of the things that is so notable about the S400s is we have a soft dome tweeter right here, and it is installed in this waveguide, horn waveguide, whatever you want to call it. Up until the point that I took this out, I thought this was plastic, and it's not. This sucker, this has got some weight behind it as well. Those are the drivers of the Buchardt S400. Yeah, so there you have it. Complete teardown of the Buchardt S400. Let's jump into measurements. So I gave myself a little bit of room here to post some measurements, and the very first thing that we're going to talk about is the impedance. But before we do, I just wanted to mention that these guys are, the sensitivity is rated at 88 dB. And they are, as we can tell by the impedance sweep here, they are a true blue 4 ohm speaker, and that's from tail to tail. And one thing that I wanted to point out is it looks like the tuning of the passive radiator is sitting right around 35 and some change, somewhere in there. I'm not going to try to interpret too much of what I'm looking at. I think that it would be foolish of me to pretend that I'm a designer. I'm not. I'm a reviewer, and it's my job to report what I hear, but I will tell you this. There's nothing wrong with this sweep. I don't see anything that would concern me at all. All right, and here is our frequency response. Before we dive into this, a couple of things that you need to know. First of all, we're looking within a 5 dB window, so things are going to be a bit exaggerated. This is where we can really see what's going on with the speaker. And the way that these measurements were performed was using what's called a gated response. So essentially, I set up the speaker and the microphone is 1 meter away from the speaker. We run our sweep, and then after that sweep is complete, we set up a gated response time of 4 milliseconds. So we're only capturing data of just the speaker, and we are hoping to eliminate the room from what it is that we end up with. And this is the frequency response that I got on the Buchardt S400s, and that is the on-axis response. All right, so the next thing that I want to walk you guys through is the horizontal off-axis. This is where I'm actually moving the microphone 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and 40 degrees off axis, and we're going to take a look at the response. We're looking at 10 degrees, so the red line is our on-axis response. The green line is 10 degrees off-axis. Next up, we have 20 degrees off-axis, and that's going to be the orange line. Next up, we have 30 degrees off-axis, which is the blue line. And here we have 40 degrees off-axis, which is the purple line. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the vertical off-axis of the Buchardt S400s. And with these, what we're doing is we are moving the microphone up, and I do it 4 inches at a time. And again here, the red line is on axis, and then the green line that we're looking at is going to be 4 inches up from the speaker. We move the microphone up even more. Now we're 8 inches up, and that's going to be the orange line. And then we have 12 inches up, which is going to be your blue line. And last but not least, we have 16 inches up, which is going to be that purple line that we see there. And the last thing that I have to show you guys with the Buchardt S400s is the Spectral Decay. Here we have the Spectral Decay, and again, I'm going to try to remain as objective as I can in these conversations and these discussions, but I will let you know this looks pretty clean. I'm not showing anything in here that, based on my knowledge, based on my learning, my education, that would put me into any kind of a panic mode at all. It looks pretty good. Little bit of stored energy from what I can see. If you can see this little tail here, and I'll highlight it. 1200, maybe around 1200, 1300 hertz. I guess it's worth mentioning as final thoughts that when I set everything up and I do these measurements, I make sure that nobody is home, and I turn off the air conditioning. I make sure the house is as quiet as I possibly can, and I'll run the measurements a number of different times in different locations just to make sure that when I take a look at that impulse response, which is supposed to be just the speaker without the interference of the room, I'm really analytical and crazy about making sure that room is not a part of what it is that we're looking at. So I would like to believe that what we're looking at is something you could at least take to the bank. And I guess the last and final thing that I wanted to mention is these speakers are under review. And so in that review, I will be walking you through now, what do I think about it? We know everything that we're getting. We can see everything. It's been laid out, and we know how they measure. We know all the parts being used, but how do they sound? So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell notification. That review is right around the corner. So that concludes the technical breakdown of the Buchardt S400. I certainly hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave comments down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.